Have you experienced racism or xenophobia here in Barcelona, in Spain?
Yes. Not once, not twice.
Yes.
No, never. Never.
I have not. No, nothing. I mean, I can be pretty clear and crisp about it. I haven't faced anything so far.
Currently, I would say in Barcelona so far, I haven't experienced any discrimination or racism against me. But I have heard that some people said that there is like some form of it existing, but honestly, I haven't seen it before. Like I haven't seen it yet.
But it's also very interesting because obviously, as a black person coming from the US, which is arguably one of the most racist countries on this planet, I have a very unique, I would say, a very unique perspective on racism and what racism actually means. With that being said, though, I'm not competing for jobs and different opportunities here in Barcelona. So, my experience might also be very limited, in terms of what it's like to live here as a black person or a black or brown person living in Barcelona. Also, I'm an American, and I think that Europeans look at nationality almost ahead of race. And so even though I'm black, they still recognize that I'm an American, and they don't treat me, I don't think that they would treat me the same way as if I were Nigerian or something like that. And I'm not justifying it because I don't think that that's right. But as a black American and having that sort of nationality privilege, we'll say, I think it kind of shields me from what you might experience here. But just like on a superficial level, like no one said something to me, no one's kind of like given me a weird look or anything like that. No one's kind of like clutched their purse when I've walked close to them or anything like that. So in that sense, I have not experienced xenophobia or racism.
Not being a Catalan speaker, being only a Spanish speaker, I've had, not so much recently, but I had people who, even to the extent of refusing to talk to me because I didn't speak Catalan, refusing to even acknowledge my existence, which is pretty extreme. It's rare, it can happen. Happened to me more than once. Outside my own house, I was told to go back to my own country. I mean, of course, I get a lot less than Moroccans or South Americans or Chinese people who are big in numbers here. Also, quite a few Romanians here too, a high number. The discrimination, I don't feel it as much as they do, but the extreme right is growing in power. I think here is probably not as bad as France or Germany or some other places, but I mean, it's still growing, and it's a worry.
In fact, here there are some in Argentina, for example, when you are from the ghetto, it's very normal. They call negro de mierda. Negro de mierda is black of shit, and it's very. They tell you like normally, even puto, that it's a gay. The people are really. It's every day, and when you are. That this is frequently normal. When you are in here, you have to educate yourself again, because you can go for life telling to the people things like that, because even here they can came the police and you have to pay a multa for that. Yeah. And I educated myself again, and I speak with class, and I think this is essential. And here is one of the first countries that also accepted the gay marriage too. And the mentality that they have, the Spanish people in general after the war, how they changing so much from the 80s to now, are really for an applause.
Can you explain some situations, examples, where and how you experience it?
Yeah, I'll focus on the job related. There were like 3 times I went for the interview. I presented my papers and my certificates and everything, and they told me your qualifications are too high for us to hire you. That was one. Two, I later decided not to submit any of my certificates so that I be within the level of everyone else. But they said we have to give the first priority to our people first. So I said, okay. And then the third time is when I went for an interview, and the boss decided that I needed to pay him with my body first before he could give me a job, which I told him it's not possible. So I left the job and never even went to it again. And then there are even times you enter into a restaurant and they'll take time to serve you, or there are even times when they literally ignore you.
while they serve the other guests.
Yeah.
How would you say the racism or xenophobia here is in comparison to Poland or Italy?
No, here is much better. Much better, because it's passive aggressive. In other countries, they show it on you, they rub it on your face. But here, they're a little bit calm and cool. You'll feel it, but you won't see it. And that's okay with me because I can manage that. I grew a tough skin anyway. It's fine.
What form of racism do you find in New York City?
In New York City and in the U.S.,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of institutional racism. So I don't care if somebody doesn't like me because I'm black. Like it is what it is. But when someone has power to prevent me from being able to make money, get an education, find housing, be involved in the political process, stuff like this is, or stuff like that really affects me tangibly, and that's a big reason of why I even left the U.S. Just because of the race problem in the U.S. is so bad specifically for Black Americans, and at least here I find that I can live a bit freer. You know what I mean? Because you're just so impacted by racism in the U.S. on a daily basis that it's kind of freeing to be in a society where, yeah, of course, people recognize that I'm black. It's obvious. But I feel like people here, at least on a superficial level, they don't treat me poorly because of that. You know what I mean? Whereas in the U.S., just looking at me, people immediately have certain thoughts about who I am or the type of person I might be, or whether or not I'm qualified to do a certain job, or whether I'm qualified to work in a certain position. And again, here I don't experience that. But like I said, I'm not deeply entrenched in Catalan society. So take what I say with a grain of salt, a little bit of a grain of salt.
But in the US, then it's not just institutional racism, but also on a daily basis that you say.
Yeah, I mean, there's like subsurface racism, and then there's also surface racism, right? So I could walk down the street and somebody could tell me that they don't like black people, or F you, get the hell out of here, or something like that. But then there are also systems in place within American society that will prevent black people from, being able to buy a house, as an example. Will prevent black people from getting an education, will prevent black people from doing all sorts of things. And so, I'm much more intimately aware of what that's like, than here.